The song is God is Alive, produced by Julius's followers at their Connecticut recording studios in the 1970s. It even made its way onto the pop charts for a time. During this period, Julius had about 500 followers, but ex-followers say these pictures of picnics, parties, and Bible meetings disguise a much darker side of Julius. For a life in the service of God, they say, became a living hell.
You could only have your true friends within the group, and of course you could only date and marry within the group.
Which you did?
Yes.
Cut off from her family, Pat Goski wound up spending 18 years of her life following Brother Julius. She was part of a community where women were told to think of Julius when making love to their husbands, and men were encouraged to envision Julius's wife Joanne, who is considered the Holy Spirit.
But whosoever shall deny me before men.
Basically, your whole life was totally consumed by group involvement. Your spare time, you read the Bible, or you went to Bible meetings. And back in the 70s, when I first joined, we had 12-hour Bible meetings on a Saturday, 8-hour Bible meetings on a Sunday, and then meetings during the week.
It was at one of these marathon Bible meetings where Pat Goski witnessed something which would later cause her to doubt whether Julius was in fact God. The fact Brother Julius was sometimes verbally abusive to followers who displeased him was no secret. This woman doesn't want her identity known.
I saw enormous cruelty to families, enormous inconsistencies, leaders saying one thing, doing another, cruelty beyond just unbelievable cruelty to children, to women, mocking people, saying things behind their back.
But on one occasion in particular, Pat Goski says the abuse became far more than verbal.
I saw 3 families be publicly spanked with their pants and underwear down in front of the whole group at Sunday meetings to make a point that God was displeased with their parenting skills. And one of the women was about 8 months pregnant who was being spanked. I personally saw that. That was a very humiliating experience. And practically everybody in the group's heads were hanging because they were mortified that these families had to take their pants down in front of everyone and be spanked by Julius.
I took druggies, whoremongers, hooers, fornicators, people who had no value. They feel emanating from my humanity power, love, warmth, and goodness. If they're evil, that love is automatically changed into hurt, punishment, and torment.
Unlike David Koresh and the Branch Davidians, Julius Shacknow and his followers have received relatively little attention from law enforcement. In fact, officials here in Connecticut are extremely reluctant to even discuss the issue. Off the record, however, some will tell you, if Brother Julius thinks he's God and has followers who believe him, that is their constitutional right. However, every ex-follower we've been able to talk to tells incredible stories of alleged sexual misconduct by Brother Julius. They include allegations of sex with underage girls, accusations that Brother Julius satiated his incredible sexual drive with the wives of many of his followers, encounters which allegedly often bordered on the sadomasochistic. Yet law enforcement here in Connecticut has either been unable or unwilling to do anything about it.
There was this inner circle, and they were pretty much aware of what was going on, that Julius was sleeping with most of the women, that he had what he referred to as his special work, which was to literally give God's seed to the women. I mean, even his special work of sleeping with women was acknowledging or receiving the personal love of God. What more intimate relationship could a creature have with his creator than sexual relations?
Did this include relations with underage women?
Yes. Simply because they were available to him. So you had families that had young girls, and you had girls 14, 15, and 16 that were coming to meetings that were literally just hanging all over him because of their oh my, this is God.
I was still a teenager, and I had been in the group for 3 months, so I was a neophyte, if you will.
This woman, who doesn't want to be identified, says she was one of the many women whom Julius shared his so-called special work with. Although she was a teenager at the time, she was over the legal age of consent.
He approached me at one point and said, how would you like God to show you how much he loves you? Of course, I'd love God to show me how much he loves me.
Did he ever get abusive with you?
I had no standard for what abusive was at that age. I know this is pretty gross. I know there was an enema involved at one point. I know that he used very foul language with me at different points. Things I wouldn't even want to repeat. That in my mind I wondered, why is he talking to me like this? Because I was never a quote-unquote loose girl before I met him, and I'm thinking, why is he talking to me like this? And I thought that it was disgusting.
Julius has been the subject of several civil lawsuits alleging he had sex with girls under the legal age of consent, including one filed by his own stepdaughter. In a case settled out of court for an undisclosed amount of money, Karen Shacknow Goodwin accused Julius of sexually assaulting her for 7 years, beginning when she was 11 years old. Goodwin would not talk to us, but one of Julius's daughters, Lorraine, did, and discussed what happened just a few years ago.
He told me he had purposes for me and I needed to fulfill those. And he wanted to explain to me that I was the only one of his children that did not fulfill his purposes. And he needed to envelop me, was what he said, with his love as God the Father and help me to understand his special work.
Ex-followers say Brother Julius has at least 5 wives. Lorraine believes her father wanted her to be his 6th.
Now, he wanted you to become one of his wives?
Yeah.